An oil change is one of the simplest, most routine bits of car maintenance out there, and yet it's also one of the easiest to mess up in ways that can totally destroy your engine. That might sound dramatic, but it's true. Plenty of engines have met an early death, not because someone forgot to change the oil, but because they did it wrong. The wrong oil, the wrong filter, or even changing it too often, or not often enough. These small mistakes add up, and before you know it, you're looking at a seized engine or a repair bill bigger than your car's value. In this video, we're diving into the most common and most costly oil change mistakes that can turn a routine task into a complete disaster. Whether you're changing your oil yourself or take it to a shop, these are the things every driver should know to avoid wrecking their ride. Let's get into it. Before someone out there puts 10W30 into a car that's begging for OW20. Number 1. Using the wrong type of oil, even if it's close enough. One of the most damaging mistakes people make during an oil change is using the wrong oil. And no, close enough isn't good enough. Every engine is engineered to run with a specific oil viscosity and formula. And if you ignore that, you're rolling the dice on your engine's health. Modern engines are designed with incredibly tight tolerances, especially turbocharged and high compression ones. Something as simple as using 10W30 instead of OW20 can throw off the oil flow, especially during cold starts. That's when most engine wear happens, and if the oil doesn't get where it needs to go fast enough, you're grinding metal on metal before the car even leaves the driveway. And it's not just viscosity either. There's also conventional, synthetic blend, and full synthetic oils. And some engines require synthetic for proper protection. Using conventional oil in an engine that needs synthetic is like running marathon shoes through the mud. Sure, they fit, but they're going to fail. And don't assume the shop always gets it right. If you're not paying attention, they might throw in bulk oil that's good enough, but isn't what your engine really needs. Check your owner's manual, follow the specs, and that's not a suggestion. It's an instruction manual for not blowing up your engine. Number 2, over-tightening or under-tightening the drain plug. Ask any experienced mechanic and they'll tell you the drain plug is a lot more important than people think. Get it wrong and you're in for a world of problems. It's not just about screwing it back in, it's about how tightly you do it. If you under-tighten the plug, you're asking for a leak. A small drip might not seem like a big deal at first, but if it goes unnoticed for a few hundred miles, suddenly you're driving with dangerously low oil levels. And you might not notice until the oil light flickers on, right before your engine eats itself. But over-tightening is just as bad, maybe worse. Crank it down too hard and you can strip the threads on the oil pan, which turns a $2 bolt into a $700 repair job, because replacing an oil pan isn't easy or cheap. Some people even crack the pan entirely, especially on aluminum oil pans, found in many modern vehicles. Once that happens, it's game over until you can afford to fix it. There's a reason torque specs exist. That little drain plug has a very specific amount of force it's supposed to be tightened with. Usually around 20 to 30 foot-pounds. No more, no less. If you don't have a torque wrench, get one. It's a one-time investment that can save you thousands. A drain plug might seem small, but one mistake can lead to a blown engine, a ruined oil pan, or a driveway covered in oil. It's not a detail you want to overlook. Number 3, forgetting to replace the oil filter, or using the wrong one. It might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people change their oil but leave the old filter in place. Some do it out of laziness, others just don't think it matters. But running new oil through a dirty filter is like taking a shower and putting your sweaty clothes back on. Your oil filter's job is to catch all the contaminants, sludge, and microscopic metal shavings that get circulated through your engine. Over time, that filter gets clogged, and once it's too full to do its job, dirty oil keeps circulating, wearing down your engine from the inside. But that's not the only danger. Some people try to save a few bucks by using a cheap aftermarket oil filter that isn't designed for their engine. It might look like it fits, but the internal components can be totally different. A bad filter can fail under pressure, letting dirty oil bypass the filter media completely. Or worse, collapse and block oil flow altogether. You also have to watch out for the rubber gasket on the old filter. If you remove the filter and the gasket sticks to the engine, then screw on a new filter, you now have two gaskets stacked together, and that's a recipe for a massive leak. Some engines will dump every drop of oil within seconds of starting up. If you're going through the trouble of changing your oil, don't skip the filter. Use the right one and double check the old gasket came off. Otherwise, you're doing more harm than good. Number 4, not letting the engine warm up before draining the oil. When you drain cold oil from an engine, you're not getting the full picture, or the full contents. Oil thickens when it's cold, and it tends to cling to the engine's internal surfaces more stubbornly. That means when you drain it right after a cold start, or worse, after the car has been sitting overnight, you leave a surprising amount of dirty oil still inside the engine. Experienced drivers know that the best time to do an oil change is after the engine has been running for a few minutes. Not scalding hot, but warm enough that the oil flows easily. When oil is warm, it drains faster, more completely, and pulls out more of the grime and contaminants along with it. That means when you pour in the fresh stuff, you're not mixing it with leftover sludge. Skipping this step means you're only doing a partial oil change, and that defeats the purpose. You're still running with degraded oil, old contaminants, and metallic particles that continue to wear down your engine. Also, warm oil reveals other problems more easily. If you're draining it and notice it's unusually dark, gritty, or smells burnt, that tells you a lot more than cold sludge that looks normal because it hasn't circulated. So before you crawl under the car and grab that wrench, do yourself a favor. Start the engine, let it idle for a few minutes, and give the oil a chance to loosen up. It's a small step that makes a big difference in how clean your oil change really is. Number 5, adding too much oil. Yes, that's a real problem. We've all heard about the dangers of running your engine with too little oil, but running it with too much can be just as bad, if not worse. Overfilling your engine doesn't mean extra protection, it means extra pressure, and that pressure can wreck everything from your gaskets to your crankshaft. When there's too much oil in the engine, the crankshaft ends up whipping through the oil like a blender. This causes the oil to foam, which means it's filled with air bubbles, and foamy oil doesn't lubricate properly. Your engine might think it's full, but all that aerated oil is basically useless when it comes to protecting moving parts. Too much oil also puts stress on your oil seals and gaskets. The excess pressure can force oil past seals, leading to leaks, or worse, blown gaskets. And once that happens, you're looking at labor-intensive repairs that cost way more than the oil change you just botched. This mistake usually happens when someone forgets to factor in the remaining oil that didn't drain out, or they don't check the dipstick after filling. Some people even pour in a little extra just to be safe. Don't do it! Your engine isn't a soup pot. Always refill slowly, check the dipstick, and give the oil a moment to settle before topping off. If you overshoot, drain the excess immediately. A little too much might not kill your engine right away, but over time, it's like slow-motion sabotage. Number 6, ignoring the oil cap, or leaving it loose. It sounds like the kind of mistake nobody would ever make, but it happens more often than you'd think. Someone changes the oil, pours in the new stuff, and forgets to put the oil cap back on. Or they screw it on, but not tight enough. And the consequences? They're worse than you'd imagine. The oil cap plays a critical role in maintaining the pressure and cleanliness of your engine's oil system. Without it, the engine can't hold pressure properly, which affects the flow of oil throughout the engine. That means critical parts like camshafts and lifters might not be getting the oil they need. And it doesn't stop there. Without a cap, oil can splash out during normal driving, coating the top of your engine bay in a sticky, flammable mess. The burning smell comes first, then the smoke. In worst cases, you can even cause a fire if the oil hits hot parts like the exhaust manifold. Even if the oil cap is just loose, it can lead to loss of oil over time. And it's so subtle, most drivers won't notice until the damage is done. You check your dipstick one day and realize you're a quarter too low, all because you didn't tighten a plastic cap. So once the job's done, always double check the oil cap is clean and seated correctly and tightened properly. It's a simple step, but skipping it could ruin your engine faster than anything else. Number 7, relying on mileage alone to time your oil changes. One of the most common mistakes people make, especially with newer cars, is assuming they should change their oil every 3,000 miles, no matter what. That number's been burned into people's heads for decades, thanks to old habits and quick lube chains that still push it. But here's the truth. That rule doesn't apply to most modern vehicles anymore. Modern engines and oils are way more advanced than they used to be. Full synthetic oils can easily last 5,000 to 10,000 miles, and many newer engines are designed with extended intervals in mind. If you're using synthetic oil and changing it every 3,000 miles, you're not helping your engine, you're just wasting money and resources. But going too far the other direction is just as bad. Some drivers stretch oil changes well beyond the recommended interval, especially if their car has an oil life monitor. But those systems aren't perfect. They rely on algorithms, not actual oil analysis. If you drive short trips, tow heavy loads, or spend a lot of time in stop-and-go traffic, your oil may break down faster than the system realizes. The key is knowing your engine, your oil, and your driving habits. Check your owner's manual, but also look at the type of oil you're using and how you drive. If your car takes full synthetic and you do mostly highway miles, you might be fine at 8,000 or even 10,000 miles. But if you're in city traffic every day, 5,000 might be safer. It's not just about mileage, it's about how that mileage was earned. Number 8, letting oil sit too long, even if you don't drive much. This one catches a lot of low-mileage drivers off guard. Maybe you've got a second car or you work from home and barely put miles on your ride. So you think, why bother changing the oil? I haven't even hit 3,000 miles. But here's the thing, oil breaks down over time, not just from use. Even if your car sits in the garage most of the year, the oil inside is still slowly degrading. Moisture collects in the crankcase, acid begins to build up, and contaminants settle in. Over time, that stagnant oil loses its ability to protect your engine, especially during cold starts. And when you do finally drive the car after months of sitting, that old oil is the first thing to circulate. It's not fresh, and it might not even be doing its job properly anymore. In some cases, it can even become corrosive, doing more harm than good. That's why most automakers recommend changing your oil at least once every 6 to 12 months, even if you barely drive the car. It's not just about the miles, it's about keeping the oil fresh and protective. And let's be honest, if you're already spending money to insure, store, and maintain a car, skimping on a single oil change just isn't worth the risk. A few months of old oil can quietly wear down your engine from the inside out, and you won't notice until the damage is done. Number 9, not checking for leaks after the job is done. Changing your oil isn't finished when the new oil's in and the cap's back on. One of the biggest rookie mistakes people make is not checking for leaks afterward. You tighten everything down, start the car, and assume it's all good, until a few days later when the oil light flicks on and the damage is already done. After every oil change, the engine should be started and run for a few minutes while you closely inspect the filter, the drain plug, and the surrounding area. Look underneath the car for any fresh drips or spots forming. A small leak can turn into a major one fast, and it only takes a few lost quarts to put your engine in danger. One of the most common causes of leaks is a cross-threaded or poorly seated filter. It might feel like it's on tight, but if the gasket isn't sitting flush, oil will slowly seep out the second pressure builds. Same goes for the drain plug. If the washer is damaged or missing, even a properly torqued plug can leak over time. You should also double-check the dipstick after the engine runs for a minute or two, because the oil will circulate and the level may drop slightly. That's your opportunity to top it off before driving away. Skipping this step is like baking a cake and never checking if the oven is actually on. The job's not finished until you confirm everything's sealed, secure, and holding pressure. Number 10, trusting quick lube shops without question. Now, not all quick lube shops are shady, but enough of them are careless that you should always be alert. These places survive on speed, volume, and upsells. That means the person changing your oil might be a teenager with 2 weeks of training, not a certified mechanic. Mistakes happen, and when they do, it's your engine that pays the price. One of the biggest risks is stripped drain plugs or over-tightened filters. Workers under pressure to finish fast often use power tools where they shouldn't, damaging delicate threads or cranking things down far too tight. You won't notice the damage until your next oil change, or when you spring a leak on the freeway. Then there's the risk of them using bulk oil that's not right for your car. If you don't specifically ask, they might grab whatever's closest or cheapest. Your turbocharged, direct injection engine might end up with oil that doesn't meet the required specs, and that's a recipe for long-term wear and sludge buildup. There are also stories, more than there should be, about shops that forget to put oil in at all or leave the cap off, or cross-thread the filter. And if you don't catch it immediately, your engine could be toast before you even get home. So if you use a quick lube place, don't just sit in the waiting room and scroll your phone. Ask what oil they're using. Watch the process if you can, and always check your dipstick and the ground under your car afterward. A little vigilance can save you from a catastrophic repair bill. Number 11, using the wrong funnel or no funnel at all. It seems like a small thing, just pour the oil in and you're done, right? But if you've ever tried adding oil without a funnel, you already know how easy it is to spill it everywhere. And that mess isn't just annoying, it can lead to real problems. When oil spills under the engine, especially near the valve cover or exhaust components, it can bake onto hot surfaces, creating smoke, odors, and even fire hazards. You might think the smoke is from a mechanical issue, when it's really just a puddle of oil slowly cooking on your manifold. Worse, if you accidentally dump oil into the wrong hole, like the coolant reservoir or power steering tank, you're in trouble. Those systems aren't designed to handle oil, and cleaning them out means hours of labor or even total replacement. It's an expensive mistake caused by nothing more than skipping a $2 funnel. Even if you think you have steady hands, it's not worth the risk. The oil fill hole is often recessed, angled, or surrounded by components that make pouring directly from the jug a gamble. And once you start pouring, there's no way to stop midstream without a mess. Experienced drivers always keep a clean funnel in the trunk or garage. It makes the job easier, cleaner, and safer. The oil ends up where it belongs, and your engine bay stays clean. Don't make a dumb mess that ends up with a trip to the mechanic or the fire department. An oil change might seem like the easiest maintenance job on the planet, but it's the little mistakes that come back to haunt you. A cracked oil pan, a blown gasket, a starved engine, all because someone thought good enough was close enough. Now you've got the upper hand. You know how to avoid the traps, spot the sloppy work, and give your engine the clean, proper service it deserves. Whether you're wrenching in your driveway or double-checking the shop's work, these details matter more than most people realize. Have you ever made one of these oil change mistakes, or caught someone else making one on your car? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what happened and how it turned out. And if this video helped you save your engine or your wallet, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and keep coming back for more tips every smart driver should know.